Hello and welcome. I'm glad to see everybody here with their smiling faces. My name is Juan Pabellon, CCNA, and I will be your instructor for today, teaching you about how to become the star trainer that I know all of you are destined to be. Again, today's presentation is on how you will become the star trainer. Now, there's some principles and some steps that I'm going to give you so that you walk out of here with those star quality trainer that you're destined to be. So let's get started and move right along. Briefly, you'll see my contact information come up, and you can use this contact information to get in touch with me at any time that you wish. It is also here on the board behind me, and you see it there on the slide as well. So first thing that we're going to do, we're going to talk about the objectives. But before we get into the objectives, I feel that it's necessary for me to explain to you why this is such a great course and what you're going to get out of it. Okay? I'm really passionate about this because I know that you're all here, based off your evaluation sheets, you're all here looking to be star quality trainers. And I feel passionate that I get to contribute to that because I know that you're going to go out there in the world, teach, and make learners learn, and that's what's really going to help you accomplish that star quality trainer that you want to be. Okay? So, I thought about this. I taught this class before, and sometime way back I gave this course, and after the course was over, I overheard some of the students talking about, man, that was pretty easy. That was a basic course. All right? Now, coming into the class, they all needed these skills because they wanted to be great trainers. And I thought about it for a second. I was thinking, maybe I should have given more of a challenge or made it more complex or things like that. But I thought about it a little longer, and I said, well, that's what we're trying to achieve. We want to make this seem simple for our learners because we know that they're going to be able to take away and actually use the information that is being presented. So if you strive for that, again, we're not trying to make this hard on the learners. We're star trainers because we make it easy for them to understand and retain information so that they can apply it. So I've built these objectives into the training module that you're going to look at based off of that premise. So for one of the first things that we're going to do, we're going to take a look at the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at the 3 P's of star trainer principles. I call these the pillars. Okay, these are the pillars from which the foundation that your curriculum is going to be constructed on. Okay, 3 pillars. Then we're going to take the next step. We're actually going to take a look at applying these principles to our curriculum design and how we structure our content. Once we apply those, then we're going to take a look at the 5 steps. We're going to identify the 5 steps that we're going to take to build a training session module. Okay? And again, it's not about just identifying it, but how do we use these steps? How do we take these steps in the direction to become the star trainer that we want to be? And we're going to take that action. So, quickly, summary, objectives. This is what we're going to accomplish. The 3 P's, identify those 3 P's, learn them inside and out. We're going to learn how to apply those. We're going to also learn and identify the 5 steps that we're going to take as a model that I usually refer to as a cookie cutter that we can apply to already designed curriculum or new curriculum that we want to design. Then we're going to explain, and then we're going to work through exercises that's going to help us apply what we learn. Now, at this time, I want to go ahead and pass out these handouts that I have for you. Now, these handouts allow for this training to be really interactive and help you engage with the content that's being delivered to you. This is just a tactic to help you retain and understand what's being presented. So if you take a moment and take a look at your handout, you'll see there that there's some exercises that we're going to be going through. So let's take a look at the 3 pillars. The 3 P's is how I refer to them. Prepare. And as you see these three principles come up on the board here, I want you to go ahead and write those in an appropriate space on the top of your handout. Prepare. Prepare is going to be the first principle that we're going to use to actually get learners in the mode, in the position that they need to be in to actually receive the knowledge. The second one is going to be practice. Practice is the second principle that we're going to keep in mind when we're designing our curriculum and when we're trying to transfer knowledge to learners. And the last one there is prior experience. So while you're writing that down, I'm going to go ahead and write this on the board over here. First one, prepare. Second one, practice. And I just abbreviated experience there. You see I'm running out of space. And prior experience. Now, prior experience is very critical, and we'll talk more about that as we look at the details for these principles. Everyone should have their worksheet already filled out. You see it up here on the board. Let's talk about preparation and preparing our learners to learn. This is key because sometimes we take for granted that, learners come to learn, but sometimes we need to have an opening statement, or maybe we need to set the mood or something like that just to get the learners ready and in the right mode. Now, if you were paying attention to me, it doesn't always have to be verbal. If you just notice what I did, I just unloosened the top button. If I was wearing a tie, maybe I'd unloosen my tie just to set a certain mode, just to help learners get comfortable in the environment. We want to create the right environment so that learners feel comfortable and they can learn better that way and retain information. That's the key. So we want to have a striking open. We want to have maybe an intriguing question, something to get the learner's interest peaked. Again, if we are going to be star trainers, we have to focus on the learner's priorities. It's about the learner. Okay? If we're going to be star trainers, we have to put the learners first. And that's the most important thing. So we talk about practice. Practice is going to be something that we put our hands on. As many times as we can get the different senses involved in our training, the better. Sometimes I look at public speakers or great trainers, and I think to myself, man, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get to where they are. But sometimes you forget that it takes practice to get good. And you have to keep that in mind. And make sure you incorporate that into your training curriculum for your learners, because that's how they're going to get good. Repetition and applying what you learn. Those are the best ways to help learners retain information. So make sure you build that into your curriculum, and that's a strong foundation for you to become a star quality trainer. Prior experience. Prior experience is key because learners come into the room with experience and knowledge that we can tap into to help them learn the content that we're trying to transfer. For instance, based on your surveys that I did early on, I know that you have a background in aviation, Gary. Is that correct?
Correct.
I know that you're in applications, Lori. And for you, Lee, I know that you're in a networking, right? So if I felt that Lee was having a little trouble grasping the concepts, the 5 steps that we're going to talk about later, if I felt he had a hard time grasping that concept, knowing his background, I may be able to relate those 5 steps to the OSI layer model. Something that you're familiar with, something that you can relate to that I can use to help you retain information. You understand? So prior experience is a key. Make sure you understand about your learners. Remember, focus on the learners and we can do some great things. So here's the first practice exercise. If you take a look in the second section of your handout, what we're going to do is just basically match up the principle on the left with the action on the right. I'll give you a second to do that, and what I'll do is I'll come around just to check you guys out, make sure you're not having any troubles. Good job, Gary. Seth there, like a champ. Lori, okay, everybody looks like they're doing pretty good. Lee's finishing up. The first one, Lori, what did you choose for prepare? What action do you think best fits with prepare, the principle of prepare?
Tracking making statements.
Excellent, excellent. I agree. Anybody else? What about the second principle of practice? Anybody can grab this one.
Hands-on exercises.
Hands-on exercises. Excellent, excellent. That's a good principle, and the best way for you to apply that principle is incorporating hands-on exercises into your curriculum. Lee, how about you take the last one?
Relate and connect learners backward.
Prior experience. Have to relate and connect to their backgrounds. That's a powerful tool and tactic that you can use as trainers. Okay, so I built in here just to basically show you guys how you're right on the mark. You can take a look here, and your sheet should look just like the sheet, the example on the board here. Now, you see here, we didn't choose a couple of the options. Live instructor demo, not taking anything away from a live instructor demo. There's definitely value in that. The purpose of this was to get the best match. And restating professional career credentials as a trainer, again, just didn't match up with this exercise here. So we'll take those away. And this is what your sheet should look like. Okay, so let's talk about the training session, the 5-step model. Okay, this is what we're going to apply to our building our curriculum and what we're going to keep in mind when we're talking to our learners and trying to transfer knowledge. If you think about it, really what we're trying to do here is we're trying to transfer energy, right? Mm-hmm. So we need to have a step-by-step process in how we do this, okay? So the great thing about it is if we come up in front of our learners and we're positive, we have a great attitude, a lot of energy, that's going to transfer well onto our learners. But if we take these steps, okay? So let's look at the 5 steps. First thing is why. You can see here, learners want to know why they're learning what you're trying to teach them. What's in it for them? Why am I here? That's what learners want to know. We want to know if we're wasting our time or not. If there's really purpose here for us, we need to know that. What? What am I going to be able to do with this training? Okay? As I take a second, I want to fill out this on a board, and I want you to make sure that you're following along in your handouts. Anybody want to pick a color?
Purple.
Purple? I'll use purple. So we talked about why, what. We need to know what are we going to be able to do once we have these skills, okay? What's going to change, all right? And that's what we have to communicate to our learners for them to be able to see the structure. Next is activities. Let's make this fun. Learning should be fun. If we ever expect our learners to retain the information and apply it, then we're going to have to make it interesting. Okay, so let's build in creative activities that reinforce the objectives. All right, you have to have meaningful activities that fit within the scope of the training module that we are trying to get across. So make sure that you fill that out on your sheet. Everybody have that filled out? Mm-hmm. Now I want to make sure that I'm not going too fast or anything. Is everybody tracking? Everybody following me? Any questions so far?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the 4th step is going to be evaluation. I have Eval for short, but evaluation. We need to be able to check the process. We need to make sure that learners are actually accomplishing what we set out for them to do. Okay? So there's a lot of different tactics that we can use. We can do tests or quizzes, practical exercises. They make sure that we're verifying that the learning process is happening. Now after the next one, I'm going to come by and just take a look at your sheets. But feedback. We're going to have corrective or confirming feedback. Not to pick on Lori, but this is an example. Lori, you have a beautiful jacket on today. See, that makes you feel good, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So we want to do the same thing with learners. If they're on the right path, we want to make sure that we're giving them that assurance that they're doing great and they're looking good And that helps. That helps learners get more motivated and interested in the content. And it creates that environment that's conducive to learning. I see everybody's sheets and looks like you guys are doing pretty good. So what I'm going to do, give me a second to fill out the rest of those spaces on the board. If there's any questions, let me know. Anybody have any questions so far?
No.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm going to shorten up evaluation, of course. Okay, so as you may see on your sheet, we have one more practice exercise, and that will be practical exercise 2. This is just a fill in the blanks to kind of get you familiar with the content. Again, it's about having activities to keep you engaged with the learning process. So if you see this right now, you can go ahead and fill this out, and I'm going to call on you all. So whoever's filled out the first one, I want you to go ahead and read that first statement.
First step is to inform learners why they should learn what you're teaching.
Exactly. That's exactly right. You want to teach. You want to let them know why. Okay? We talked about that before. We have to have purpose. Second step. Anybody?
Second step is to inform learners what they will be able to do after learning.
Exactly. That is absolutely right. We want to know how can we apply these skills. That's key and important. Third one, Seftar.
Third one is incorporate relevant activities that reinforce the main course objectives.
Yes, absolutely. Activities is the way for us to get engaged with the content, really get our hands in it, get involved, and make it fun. Next one, Lori.
You must check that the learners are learning by using some evaluation process.
Absolutely. Again, we have to check the process. We want to make sure that we're accomplishing our goals. If we focus on the learner, then we need to be able to verify that. Next one. Chuck?
Yes. Number 5, provide corrective and confirming feedback to let learners know how they are doing.
Absolutely. Again, we're not going to try to single anyone out, hurt anybody's feelings. We want to make this fun, right? It may just require just a little nudge in the right direction, and that's key. That's what we want to do here. That's what we want to accomplish. So, in summary, we have the 3 principles, 3 P's of smart trainers, which were prepare, practice, and prior experience. Next 5 steps. Chuck, give me one.
Why?
Why? What's the next one?
What?
Exactly. Seftar?
Activities.
Activities, of course. What about you, Lee?
Eval.
Evaluations. And the last one, feedback.
Feedback.
Now, this is a quick summary. This is what we learned, and I hope everybody retained this pretty well, because the objective here is, look, we want to bring students and learners in this front door. We want them to get in these seats, right? The objective is for them to leave back out this door a little different from when they came in, okay? So we want to have things that they can take away. And if you apply these principles and steps, then they're surely going to be able to take some things away, and they're going to be telling everybody, I had a star trainer in this class. So thank you for your attention and your time. If there are any questions, this is the time to ask. If there's no questions, thank you very much. Have a great day.